to stop the unlawful corporate U.S. government from starting World War III. Nesara ends the unconstitutionality of the Federal Reserve banking system. Nesara stands for National Economic Security and Reformation Act. The beginning of this law took place in the early 1990s when the bank begins to illegally foreclose on farmers' homes. The Live Aid concerts was one of the fundraisers to help these farmers. These farmers got together, and when they realized what was going on, they started a lawsuit against the government. In retaliation, the government sent the IRS against the lawyers. As a result, the lawyers requested the assistance of military generals. These generals would then sit in the courtrooms to make sure the bribed judges would rule in favor of constitutional law. It was determined in these cases that not only were banks illegally foreclosing on mortgages, but the money itself was worthless. The dollar has no precious metals supporting it because the Constitution states that only gold and silver can be accepted forms of coinage/currency. These judges ruled the Federal Reserve banking system to be illegal and to be abolished. These trials went all the way up to the Supreme Court. Years passed, and the generals realized the government had no intentions to abolish the Fed. As a result, the order was given to surround Congress and force members to sign Nesara into law under gunpoint. This happened on March 9th, 2000. Then under the gunpoint of the elite Naval SEALs and the Delta Force, on October 10th, 2000, Bill Clinton signed this act into law. This was necessary because the Illuminati are in full control of our government. Also, the Clintons were never lawfully elected. Ross Perot was lawfully elected to be our president at that time. Nesara requires all members of Congress and the president to resign and new elections to take place. It disbands the Federal Reserve Bank and replaces with currency of the U.S. Treasury backed by precious metals. And debt will be zeroed out to make way for the new currency. The IRS will be replaced with a national sales tax. Nesara releases all suppressed technologies such as free energy devices, which can clean up all pollution and cure all diseases, even old age. It also begins refunds of stolen monies to be given out in the form of debit cards. Every American citizen over the age of 21 will receive $100,000 a month for 11 years as compensation for all the evil perpetrated against them by the American Federal Empire. Folks, no microchipping will be required for this refund. Unlike some would have you believe, according to a secret FBI, CIA, and NSA study, 1 out of 10 Americans have already been chipped by the Greys. This research, known as the Roper Report, was sent to over 100,000 psychologists. Those involved with the Christian cult refused to look in the fact that we already chipped, many of whom include them. Now understand, the Fed is not a federal bank. It is privately owned bank controlled by the most wealthy families of the world. These people are like leeches sucking off the lifeblood of the world's poor. They include 300 of the world's wealthiest banking families, such as the Windsors, Lazar brothers, Rothschilds, and Rockefellers. Even the Bush family has a piece of the pie. They own the Carlyle Group, which is worth $370 trillion. The money paid into the IRS is deposited into the Fed and distributed to them. 63% to the Crown of England and various banking families. 27% to the world's 300 most wealthiest Illuminati families, and 10% to the employees of the IRS. The Crown is a 1 square mile country located in the central part of London, owned by the House of Windsor, the British monarchy. Nesara will pay them off, so they will give up their monopolies. All monies paid into the IRS has gone to the Federal Reserve Bank since 1913. It is estimated that the Federal has stolen over $500 trillion less interest and inflation over this period of time. None of the money has financed the U.S. government as we know it today. Money is raised via CAFR from the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report. CIA, drug trafficking, and arms trafficking as well. The constitutional government, we believe in a no more. It was bankrupt in 1933. That's what the New Deal was all about. In 1933, the constitutional government was dismantled, and the Zionist New World Order government was formed as a new corporation called the United States of America. Its property include all lands, property, and even we are the people. They are using us as their chattel. This is why we have social security numbers and why the government can deduct money from our wages for the IRS. Today, this shadow government is running the show, using its money to finance secret black ops involving ETs and much more. The amount of wealth the Illuminati have stolen is so astonishingly huge that it's incomprehensible to the average man. The world total GDP is estimated to be about $30 trillion annually. However, the total wealth of the Illuminati is in excess of 10 of quadrillion dollars. Even so, they are not the wealthiest group on the planet. The wealthiest person is Saint Germain. His trust fund was set up over 280 years ago in 1729. These funds were meant to be released in the year 2000 of benevolent purposes. Today, that fund is now worth 1 quadrillion, or all them zeros. Look, all them zeros. It says 1 quadrillion dollars. That's enough money to buy a gold cube in the size of the orbit of Saturn. So, astronomical, the average person will not be able to believe it. His secret money making techniques shall remain secret for now. However, there is no secret on how the Illuminati have made their money. Their methods include ripping a third world nations via the International Monetary Fund, fractional reserve banking, fiat currency, drug trafficking, oil, backward engineer UFO technology for sale in the public sector, arms trafficking, prostitution. Much of the funding for Nesara began 100 years ago. The children of robber barons began to put aside some of their family's money into secret trust funds. The money along with the Saint Germain Trust was meant to be released into the world to make right some of the wrongs of their parents. This money will be used to buy out all oil companies, energy conglomerates, banks, pharmaceutical cartels, and zero out all debt. Nesara literally ushers in the golden age of humanity. The whole media refused to push this knowledge because of the Supreme Court placed gag order on any media, government, personnel, or the threat of death if they ask, if they talk. This is why Alice Jones and Wikipedia will not discuss this information. In addition, the Associated Press and Reuters have been bought off by the Rothschild family since 1901. 85% of all news networks are owned by only 5 corporations. Do you really think Rupert Murdoch is going to tell you the truth? We live in a Orwellian state. Wake up. Nesara was planned to be announced on September 11th, 2001 at 10 a.m. Just before the announcement, Bush Sr. ordered the destruction of the World Trade Center to block to the distribution of the Nesara refunds and killed the pro-Nesara military supporters located in the White Knights HQ of the Pentagon. This effectively destroyed the first attempt to bring this country back to the constitutional law. Bush Jr., our then president, was just a puppet. He was so cloned and chipped, he probably had no clue what's really going on at the time. The destruction of 9/11 served to start an unjust war with Afghanistan and Iraq. This war was necessary because since 1980, OPEC has effectively forced the world to trade in all barrels of oil and Federal Reserve notes. This means that our money is backed by oil. This is why no free energy technologies will be released until the Federal Reserve Bank is abolished. Our money supply is ticking time bomb and waiting to be set off. The Illuminati need this war to force rouge nations to continue using worthless Federal Reserve notes. Saddam was trading oil for euros, and Afghanistan refused to let Halliburton to build a pipeline across the land to the Caspian Sea at the price Halliburton wanted. Aaron Ken Lay was murdered because he threatened the Bush family about going public about these secret dealings. The Illuminati are using secret bank accounts in the Bahamas and Cayman Islands to prop up the stock market. Once the money stops flowing, expect a total meltdown unless Nesara happens. People who are anti-Nesara are like the same folks in the time of Noah, mockers and scoffers of truth. Did not the scriptures say, as it is in the days of Noah, so it will be in the last days. Also, even the very elect would be deceived. The elect are not those phony, unelected officials who run the government, nor are they those are involved with the Christian cult. The elect, the 144,000 who have come back to return this planet back to the light.